Okay, so the second half of this class is not going to be as useful in terms of recording. So I'm going to try to go back over, we'll try to improve over what we started before, but this is, we're basically looking at, oh, I'm not sharing my screen, am I? So the first attempt was sort of looking a little, interrogating this picture. In these areas, right? We sort of looked kind of closely at that. To some extent, sort of looked at that. And then I set up the back area, you know, the first couple columns looking above, not really looking below, which I could have done. Of course, I removed the blocks. Let's see if I can line this back up. Any questions or insights as to how is this going? You finding this a little bit easier than the ink drawings, or more difficult, or we need to adjust a little bit to what's going on here? I did find my pencil sharpener. It was sitting in front of me the whole time. Okay, so all I want is base of that column capital. Yeah, did the reverse. Improvising a little. Okay. Somehow or other, I'm gonna have to connect up the geometry that I just penciled in here with whatever's going on up there. Presumably it lines up. We're not really sure. Obviously, you want to do these things together. All right. I might have to stretch things a bit here to make that work. Keep your pencil sharp. Not so sharp that the tip falls off. Colored pencils are a difficult bunch. I really painted myself into a corner here. All right, but I'm just trying to show that you can still connect up parts of a drawing after the fact. It's really kind of fun painting with white because the experience is different. It's like you're placing light. So you're just kind of defining, and then the same applies, right? If I want to, all right, I know everything converges there. I could give myself a couple guides. Try not to ruin your drawing like I just did. Oh well. We know where that other base sits because it's along the same line. Don't have to take it literally. Just enough of it see, I'm just going around the contours that form the front of that column. It's just you feel the light hitting it. I've destroyed whatever's going on in here. I've destroyed, but I can fix it, right? Fairly easily, right? So before I didn't have a column at all. Now I just, set up a guide. And again, it's with the understanding that the base, it lives in here. This is where the thing lives. This is the box that it gets shipped in. These are the ellipses that describe that before it continues up. I could have begun this a bit more carefully. Let's see if we can rescue the pilaster that's against the back wall over here. Let's see if we can figure out what can we do about that. Remember, you can avoid the agony that I'm going through right now by just planning your drawing a little bit more carefully than I did. Those lines are supposed to converge there somewhere. Oh boy, what a mess. That's all right. So my pilaster has a capital. right? It has an element. It don't feel like you have to draw every single part. It has an element, a capital, meaning if I'm looking at a column, column has a base, a shaft, and a capital, depending on what type it is, right? So in order for me to draw that thing, I have to think of these elements in their abstraction. How am I going to deal with the capital here, which is the top of a pilaster, which is a rectilinear shape? Well, it has the same form as the capital of the column, but the shape of it, I'm going to cheat a little bit. Its shaft is rectilinear because it's engaged in the wall. It's embedded in the wall. It too has a side that may be exposed more to light. Base, the shaft we have is just a rectangular. The base gonna look really short there, and that, right? It's just a little box, little part of a box. The inside of it's going to be pretty dark. That part of it may be light. The very bottom of it I don't know. It's starting to round out a bit, largely because the way I applied the white. See if I can improve it with that mark. It's tough to tell whether or how much of an improvement that is until you see what came before this, when I started the drawing, before I didn't have any of these elements, because I really didn't care about this part. I was looking at what was going on up here. I know I've said this and I violated my own rule. Try not to mix the colors if you can avoid it, because it gets really muddy. And the thing about pencil is once you've saturated a particular area, there's no going back unless you use some kind of razor and try to cut it out. Then I do a lot of this with drawing. Sometimes drawing is like writing. It's difficult. It requires a lot of effort, but you benefit a lot when you can step back from it a little bit, put a little time between yourself and the drawing, sort of look at it and think about what can happen here that could improve that? What could be different? What's working and what's not, right? So imagine that I spent a day thinking about this, and I do this a lot with drawings. I'll step back and contemplate what I wish to do next for a long time before I even start making marks. But I can tell from this drawing that, you know, parts of it are highly developed. Maybe I'm liking what's happening in terms of level of completion in here. It's a little bit anemic in there. So maybe I'll look at developing that part of it. Maybe augmenting one side, leaving that a little light, making that part a little darker. Or maybe I mean, the important thing is there's got to be some kind of variegation definition to the different parts. It's pretty dark where it meets the curved wall. So I think we need to get in there a little more aggressively. Maybe one side darker still. See how that like it now begins to move back. It may call for some kind of treatment in here. Sometimes you discover that the quality of the these guys look like they're leaning to one side, and that happened largely because I drew the base afterwards, trying to align it to the capital, and they're really not. I don't know what the heck happened in here. That became okay. So there's some curvature there that I believe we don't have the equivalent on this side. I don't think that I'm going to be able to rescue that. Too bad. But that's part of the experience of learning about this, right? We have different stuff going on over here. If I look at this photograph, some of that surface is a little bit lighter, right? Before it meets it has that border. Then I have a bunch of lines. I'm going to draw lightly. I have some pattern that come out over here. What's happening with, I don't know, I got some crazy thing going on. I don't need to draw you know, there's something that I see in there, and this is red. Okay, so what's that value? That value is what? It's that paper. Everything around there is really lighter. Then I got some crazy little stuff going on. Who cares if I can't reproduce it exactly? But I'm looking at the pattern. There's light and dark in there. You're going to invent something that approximates what you observe in that drawing. If I wanted to add back in the lamps, I could do that at another time. But there are, right, from the midpoints of these guys, we have there's something in there. I haven't got it quite right, but I know there's something hanging in there, and it's not difficult to approximate it. I'm notorious for drawing myself into, painting myself into a corner, and that's what I've done here. I'm being very forgiving of myself of parts of the drawing that I miss. And you should be equally forgiving of your drawings. I hate when that happens. I'm not gonna have much of a white pen left when all is said and done here. Ugh. There's a lot more lightness along here than I've drawn. And then it falls off. See if I can get that a little bit better. It's all right to invent some kind of technique, just like you did with the ink drawings. You can draw black over white, but not the reverse. If you think of something afterwards, it's not as effective as having planned for it. What's going on out here? These are way out. Anybody want to share something, or just want to work on it for a little while and just interrupt me at any time if you feel like looking at something in particular. I'll probably, yeah, go ahead.
I can show you mine quick.
Okay.
I haven't gotten like too much done, but that's what I've gotten done so far.
That's working quite nicely. You see how you are much more disciplined than I am. I'm sort of all over the place with the see now the your challenge is going to be, how do I integrate the rest of it? Not that you have to draw all of it, but I think, Emily, between you have a couple of successful beginnings of the cross faults going on. Now the trick is going to be what do you do with the adjacent ones?
Right, yeah.
Because they're not really a middle value, but something happens, and I would start very lightly because you set up the drawing very nicely. You set up a rhythm that goes 1, 2, 3, all the way back. Now you have the interval in between. Let's slightly go back into that and see if we can weave it all together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
good.
Can I show you mine?
Yes, please. Oh, I see. I can make this bigger. Okay, good. Yeah. Wow. Every year that I do this exercise, I learn something from students. Do you see how that little bit of setting up those windows beyond the columns is completely believable about the depth, because you have them right in the right place and there's enough contrast that it pushes them way back in there, and I'm really getting a sense of depth. I think the same thing applies here as with Emily's. Now, you set up a rhythm for the darks in the cross vaults. Now you want something in between that's going to weave that together. But I'm reluctant. Even with very little white, you've created the illusion of a very, very bright surface. And that's the whole point of the exercise, using the colored paper as a middle tone and then getting the user to sense where that source of light is coming from. So that's well on its way. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know how to control this. Okay. See if I can avoid painting myself into a corner again here. Uh, my pen is stopped to write. This time I'm trying to plan out a little bit more carefully what happens, the columns, the pilaster. That's the middle of the door. Let's see if I can back into that because I don't have it. I think there's enough in there. I think I have a little more information compared to what I had in this drawing. I don't remember if I started with the dark or light before. Use my real pencil sharpener. I always buy like 4 or 5 extra white and black Prisma pencils. You go through them very, very quickly. The light is terrible here. I can crack this up somehow. Oh well.
I have a question.
Yeah,
How many of the ink drawings do you want us to complete?
do 3.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. People have done more, but I think 2 isn't quite enough because you need, I think you learn, it takes 3 of them really to find the mark that works, or to reinforce that you've already created one that works. Now I'm just applying what I learned from your drawings. If you guys established this rhythm early on and made it work. So I'm just sort of like, I'm going to explore that first. See if I can get that to work for me up there. See? Some pretty dark areas near the bottom of those crossroads. See how much easier it gets once you've rehearsed those shapes, because you know what they are. You know where you're going with them. Might be a little too late for that, but I'm going to try it. I didn't leave myself enough paper. No. Yeah, the bottom maybe. Right, where I haven't drawn any black yet. It's tough when there's not a lot of contrast between the lightest and the slightly less light part of the drawing. Like there's a lot of light on this side of the, oops. Column, but it's a bit dimmer out here. It's remarkable to see how different your drawings look than mine. I'm always happy to look at that. That's why I like looking at the work in progress. Because everybody's got a different style and it comes through in the drawing, you know? Something like that going on. Problem when you discover something in one drawing that works, you tend to repeat it indiscriminately, and I'm pointing out my own laziness, right? When I find that gesture works, I'll repeat it. I'll use it again because it seems to work. You know what? Fine. If it works for you, if you choose to try to discover something a little bit different, fine. If you've discovered something that seems to work for you, feel free to use it. Let's take a little bit of a break. We'll come back in 10 minutes or so.
Sandra, could I show you what I have? Sandra?
He doesn't have his headphones in, so he's probably can't hear you.
All right. I'm considering for next week, because I introduced new stuff in the morning, and I hadn't done this before, but I wanted to show you guys how you could basically take any photograph that conveys some amount, some impression of depth. I don't know, you could look in a magazine and, you know, consider tracing a picture you saw in a magazine and what might we do to represent it in this fashion. That depends. Let me hear from you guys how comfortable you are that, say, the end of next week you'll finish the 3 ink drawings and a couple of these drawings on. I don't have any gray paper, so I'm at a disadvantage with that. But we'll see about that. But this is pretty much the shape of Folio 1. Although I don't have my ink drawing here, and you guys have done much more exciting ink drawings than I have. And here are the kinds of things you discover that you do the same, you try to do the same drawing twice, see what happens. Like, what the heck happened? These columns somehow got really skinny. And the base, I don't know what happened to this guy, but he turned out not lining up at all with these, where here it's, you know, sort of control that. Not a big deal. You know, you'll discover different parts of the drawing work better better than others like that. So the ink drawings are to come up with some kind of pattern or hatch that works, many of which I've seen you guys successfully do already, and then. Okay, so, but in any case, if we feel that by next week we'll be done with this, I'll introduce the beginning of the next folio, which would be looking at the kitchen plan and section. And that'll be starting with pencil drawings. I'll show you a little what that looks like from some previous student work.
Sandro,
Yeah.
if we're gonna start the kitchen drawing soon, is there any way that you could make like a material list of all that we'll need this semester so we could pick it up all at once?
Yeah, I thought I had done that and posted it on the syllabus. Maybe I didn't.
Oh, I didn't know if the syllabus was uploaded, so I haven't seen.
It's possible that I ignored it. Let me just check. Just know what I'll do? I'll just copy that part of the syllabus and email it to you guys. So, because I was asked to revise it.
Thank you.
Yeah, not at all. My pleasure.
When we're done with our like 3 ink drawings and
Yeah.
then this drawing, where should we upload it?
If you don't mind, if you could, what I will do is make a Dropbox folder for the 3 folios. Let me see if I haven't, what I've done. I haven't done that yet. Good question, because last year we pinned them up. This year we obviously can't do that. Oh, all right. I remember what I did. Let me share the screen. Okay, so in my Dropbox folder, Interior Design Communication, there's a folder for each of you. When you finish your work, who asked me that? I'm sorry,
Natasha.
Natasha. So you go to the folder that says Natasha, Folio 1, and you upload the images here. That easy enough?
So
Folio
I
1?
don't have enough space on my computer for VDI. So should I just email it to you, or
What do you mean you don't have space for VDI?
like you have to download it onto my laptop? And I ran out of space on it on my laptop.
All you need is a program to be able to log in.
I tried to download it. I don't know if I did it right, and it said I just didn't have enough space. I mean, I can look again, but
There's a way to like go onto it just from like Safari. If you go on like the Suffolk website, you can like access it through Safari, I guess. That's
okay.
what I do too, because mine is like
Yeah, I'm a little worried, not because of that, but then how are you're gonna need to access Photoshop and all those other programs. So,
So I have Adobe Cloud,
okay,
and so I use that.
okay, so
Like,
you can have that on your computer.
yeah, I have it.
Okay. Do you have OneDrive? Is everybody comfortable with OneDrive?
Yeah.
Okay, you can send me a OneDrive link. So set up a folder, Folio 1, Folio 2, Folio 3, and then put your these drawings in a OneDrive folder and send me that link. Can you manage that, Natasha?
Yeah, I can do that. Thank you.
Yeah, let me know if you're having trouble with VDI or your intention. If you can't access VDI, you have to somehow install Creative Cloud on your computers. And I think because Adobe works with subscription you have a username, Adobe username, you can do that, right? That's better. You're going to be better off with that because then you're guaranteed that it's going to work well on your computer.
Yeah, that's what I've been using since last semester, and it works really well. And I can use any app or anything.
Oh, God bless you. Did you use AutoCAD doing that as well?
I haven't yet, but I'll probably take a class next semester for that.
You didn't take digital orthographics?
No, it didn't fit into my schedule last semester.
Oh,
But I took 2D 2D color,
yeah.
and now I'm taking 3D color.
Is there anybody else that didn't take digital orthographics?
I haven't taken it either. I'm on the
Hey.
same schedule as Natasha.
All right, let me write these things down. Page. Haven't taken digital. Anybody else? That's the AutoCAD page. Natasha. All right, well, Folio 1, Folio 2, Folio 3. If you're more comfortable with OneDrive, go ahead and send me a OneDrive link, and then I'll take your files and put them in my Dropbox. For the final work, we're going to rely pretty heavily, and part of Folio 2 on the Adobe Suite programs, Photoshop and InDesign. So we'll have to figure out how we're going to get to that. I got distracted. I was looking for the syllabus part that had the materials that you need. Okay, I'm gonna make it easy. I'm just gonna email that part of it to you, and then I'll post the syllabus on. Oh, thank you, Natasha. That was fast. Materials for IDC 2021. So you should all have an email now that has a list of those things. Nothing should be a surprise. Basically the same stuff, trace. I talk about
Sandro,
yeah,
can I show you what I have so far?
yeah, please.
Okay, give me.
Let me stop sharing. Wait. Great, very good. You guys, everybody's doing the same kind of thing. So, but this is good because the interval between you see how you've established 1, 2, 3. There's a dark going to light moving up into the vault. We got to get the rest of the vaults to, the areas that are adjacent to each other in the vaults, the circular, the curved areas. We got to treat that a little bit because that's going to create the illusion. You know what I'm saying, Janet?
So like you want the vault to be a little more defined, right?
Yeah, because the places that are empty, what's happening is that part of the drawing is flattening out. So you need to just sort of come up with some kind of gimmick that's going to persuade us that those areas are actually modulating spatially. You know what I'm saying? Good.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Can I show you mine?
Yeah. That's great. I don't know how you guys are managing this. You're making me feel like an amateur. Very good. Hold it up one more time. All I would say is that whenever you see how you have the parts of the vault that you colorize are working really, really well. Parts that you left empty need something. Even if you go in there very lightly, but just so that you tie the rest of that together. And that's completed so that all the contiguous areas are connected to each other. All right,
Okay.
Catherine, does that make sense?
I think so. You're talking about like this part?
That's right. That
Okay.
one and
Yeah.
well, actually, that's about the only one. If you manage that one, that would really negotiate between the two and maybe the one behind it. But it's that one you almost get somebody because you very intelligently recognize that if you get to the edges of those, it get really dark, and that's a very astute observation. Now the question is going to let's give it a little more to balance and connect and make it feel like those areas are that are contiguous actually feel like part of the same system.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else while I'm looking for how to get into Blackboard? There's so many things to remember here. This is crazy. Let me see. Okay, the syllabus is now on Blackboard. The excerpt of which I sent you that describes the materials. Now, when we're talking about colored pencils, I think I mentioned this in the syllabus and what I sent you. A color set of color pencils, one extra black and white, as many as you can afford, but not less than 24. It's nice to have the set of 72 you can get away with a set of 24, but get some extra black, plain black and plain white, because you'll use them. Let me share my screen. I'll give you a brief little tour of my drawing table and what I use, just to give you an idea. How do I do this? I want that thing. Okay, so don't get dizzy. And I'm going to change this to speaker so I can hear you guys in case you say something. Okay. So I'm walking over. Those are my markers. All the reds are together, all the blues, purple, green. Right? Pencils all over the place. All right, there's the Tabasco bottle that we still have to do stuff with, right? I don't understand why this, okay, there it is, it focused. The drawings I made here, and many of the drawings that you'll make, I put the pens away, but these are a handful of markers. So you don't need every single color. Let me switch this back to my headphones. So the point is, and let me go and share. Different screen. Okay, so there's the list of stuff, right? Color pencils, many as you can afford, no less than 24. You'll be fine. Prismacolor markers. Don't get the really, make sure that you get the chisel point pens. If you get those colors, those are the minimum, we'll be able to get away with something. You will make a drawing that's persuasive. You need the grays. If you want to leave out the French grays, you could do that. Do cool grays and warm grays. But you need some way to create a sense of shade. This is really poorly done. Whenever I make a mark with a particular marker, I usually write it down. Tuscan red. Yellow ochre, whatever it might be. If it's a Prismacolor pencil, I'll write Prisma PC 935. So you keep track of what you've done. Now, on its way to you are drawings like this that we can draw into. I'll show you how we derive this. But typically, when I work with grays, none of which are working here because I ordered them, but they're not going to. I'm digressing a little bit, and I'll repeat this. So I'm not going over something here that you won't be able to hear again. But if I decide that I'm going to make a drawing that's showing me part of a kitchen, right? I'm looking at a section. And that back here, I'm proposing some wall cabinets, right? That may have doors on them. Below this system, there's like a range. And I decide there's a color scheme that I want to associate with this. I don't know why I would why would I use this color? Green cabinets, why not? Maybe there's a base cabinet on either side. Right? So what do I do with the grays? The grays are gonna, we're talking about some things that may cast a shadow. Maybe light is coming from this direction, right? Gray don't want one too intense. Allows me to create that illusion. right? That somehow with a few lines I'm describing, okay, there's some metal, there's some other stuff that's going on over here. But then the pencils allow you to sort of mark this up and accent that. Do you see how that begins to bring these things to life? So I'm using the color, but then the gray is applied over it. I usually use the color first. Why am I doing all this? I'm doing all this to answer the question. You don't need 1,000 colors to make this happen. You don't even need appropriate colors to make it happen. You just need to understand that there's a wash of color and there's a decision about the illusion of a light source. Again, it is your work of fiction. I'm going to repeat all this. We don't get into this until the next folio. But because you guys asked me about materials, I just wanted to illustrate. We can do much better drawings in this, right? We're capable of much better. I just scribbled to put this together for purposes of illustration. So do you need all that crap that I have on my shelves over there? No. Why do I have it? Because sometimes I'm after subject stuff, you know, that I've been trying to figure out for 40 years that I'm exploring that require more subtle, different nuances. You see the red going on here with the white pencil? Do you see a similarity between what's going on over here? Do you see how easily you could represent something like that with a finer mark? These are the things I want. I'm trying to teach you guys how to recognize things that you see and showing you different ways of reproducing them. That's what we're here to do. So do you need every instrument in the book to do that? No. You need to select a few instruments and learn to use them well. And that's what I hope to teach you guys. I think I'm going to stop there. Are there any questions before we break for the week, I guess?
Yeah, so just to clarify,
Yeah.
is folio 1 due next week?
No, it'd be nice to be done with it by next week, but you know what, I've found that people all semester long try to revise work they've done earlier, so it's due by the end of the semester. But no, I'm not gonna penalize anybody for not having all the assignments due next week. We're gonna move on to the next folio no matter what, and then I'm gonna expect that on your own time you will finish up with that other work because I've shown you how to do it.
Right. Okay, and then it's just the 3 ink pen drawings and then the black and white one?
Yeah, one on gray paper and one on a tone like a tan or cardboard like that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. All right, guys, be well. Hang in there and call or write with any questions. I always answer the phone and email. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
you.
Yep.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.